Hi Cancers, happy early birthday and welcome to your June 2019 Astrology 33 reading. We have a Celtic Cross spread in front of us as always, and it looks like you got a card or two extra there, and then we have a couple of Oracle cards to get through, and also a Mudra card. Before I forget, for those of you who'd like to book a personal reading with me, follow me on Instagram or donate to the channel, you can check out the description of the video for more info on that. And also, keep an eye out on the channel because after I'm done with all the general readings, I'll also be posting some additional videos for all the signs, so keep an eye out for that. All right, and let's get started with the main spread. In the main position, we have the Nine of Wands. So this could be coming across a few different ways. For some of you, this could just be saying that this is how you're feeling right now. You know, that feeling of having gone through the storm, gone through a few battles, but you're still standing, right? That could be how you're feeling right now. Another way that this could be playing out too is to just say that, to me, this is when you might need some help with something, but you don't feel comfortable asking for it. So let's say in the workplace, maybe, you feel like, all right, maybe they're piling too much on for you at work, right? But you might feel like, let's say you're new at the job, so you're like, well, I don't want to necessarily tell them I need help because I don't want them to think that I'm incompetent, right? You might feel like all you have is that one wand going for you, which would be, oh, I've only done this much with the company so far, so if I tell them I need help already, they might think, oh, this person doesn't know what they're doing, right? But realistically, there are those 8 other wands behind you. So if you look at each of those wands representing an accomplishment that you have going in your favor, it's like you really have a lot more going for you than you think you do. So in that regard, it'd be saying, you should feel a little bit more comfortable asking for help if you do need it, because, they will actually do something for you in that regard. Trying to think if there's any other messages coming to mind with this, but to me, this could just represent lightening your load too, and I'll get to why I think that's the case. But well, just to give you a preview, because you have the Ten of Wands in the past position, so this could even just be saying that you are lightening your load in some way. You could still have a lot on your plate, but maybe you're finding a way to slowly let those things go, and maybe you're just feeling a little hesitant. Maybe you're just reluctantly letting them go one by one, right? Because you're like, all right, I don't want everything to come tumbling down. So, maybe you're easing your way into getting rid of some of these things and seeing if, all right, is this actually going to still function or not? But yeah, the reason why I think it could be a matter of you maybe having to ask for help in some way, shape, or form is because in the challenger obstacle position, we have the Page of Swords. So to me, this is a card that represents communicating, but also maybe not being fully confident in doing so. I always say the page energies to me represent like a 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And if you look at their stance there, he doesn't look very comfortable, right? Like he has a weird stance. If you look at the way he's holding the sword, it doesn't look like he's very comfortable with it, right? Because it's kind of new to him. So, this could just be saying that part of the issue is, you might just need to speak up if you do need help with something. And I even say, I did a personal reading for someone a while back, and I was looking at the card and I was noticing how that F there really, well, rather, it's not an F, those trees really stood out to me and almost looked like the Facebook F to me. So this could even represent, maybe connecting with someone on social media that you need to, contact regarding whatever the situation is about. But yeah, again, it's coming up in the challenger obstacle. This represents another person trying to communicate with you, and maybe, it's someone you might have a history with, for example, and maybe you're feeling a little wary about, well, I don't know what they're contacting me again for, right? Given the fact that it is in the upright, you might, most likely they would be trustworthy with what they're coming forward with, and maybe they just feel awkward about it too. If you guys had a weird falling out, they might be trying to test the waters too to see, all right, is it cool for me to come back around and try to mend things or what? So that could be what's playing out there. And, if this is regarding you, though, and your need to speak up, the good thing is pretty early in the month, Mercury will be coming into your sign. So that should help you out with that. All right, in the foundation position, we have the World card. So this is a card that represents completions. Um, and to me personally, it also represents the North Node. So, this could even just be pointing to the fact that the North Node is in your sign. So a lot of the things you might be experiencing right now are actually meant to help with your overall soul growth. But this could certainly represent some kind of completion for you as well. Um, I'm looking at transit wise, there's a whole lot going on in your seventh house, so there could definitely be some changes going on with your committed relationships. But I'm also thinking about the sixth house as well, just because I was getting that work vibe with those wands as well. So right now you have Jupiter going retrograde through that sign, which is about work, your day-to-day routine, even health. Um, but what could be happening there is, to me, when the karmic planets go in retrograde, they tend to, on a karmic level, fix things that weren't right. So, for example, with a Mercury retrograde, we always talk about what we need to do, right? Oh, you need to review this, you need to reconsider that. When the karmic planets go in retrograde, to me, it's more about universally something might karmically come back around to be corrected. So that could be what's going on there. For example, maybe you do speak up and then all of a sudden you do start getting that help you need at work and you're like, oh, all right, you might not trust it, but it actually ends up lightening your load in that regard. Like I already started to discuss here, in the past position we have the Ten of Wands. So, to me, this just represents feeling burdened, like you're taking on a whole lot. And what I always say is, if you look at it, it's one thing to have the 10 wands, right? But if you look at the way this person's carrying them, it's like, can they even see where they're going? You might have even lost sight of what the goal was, right? You might have been taking on all these things, and you just might have been to the point where you started to ask yourself, well, what's even the point of me doing all this, right? So that could be what's going on there. And this represents the last 10 degrees of Sagittarius as well. So maybe this was while Jupiter was going direct through those degrees. Maybe you felt like, okay, I really need to take this on. Because again, with Jupiter is often referred to as a planet of luck, which is true, but it's also a planet of expansion. So if you think about that and relate it to your sixth house, that could just be saying that your work life got really busy and maybe it just got past the point that you could, comfortably handle it. And maybe that's what's been at play now, like I said, especially with Jupiter being retrograde now. Maybe, that has to do with you lightening your load in some way there. In the present position, we have the King of Pentacles. So this could even be pointing to, for some of you, again, if it's a workplace thing, maybe getting some kind of financial reward for the work you've put in. You speak to your boss about what's going on, right? Maybe they offer you more money. They're like, you're right, we didn't realize that you were, taking on all this stuff, right? Again, like I said, you might have felt like you only had that one wand going for you, but you had the other 8 as well. So they might say, yeah, you're right, we didn't realize you were taking on all these things, and, we'll give you some more money, right? That could be one way it's playing out. Another thing this could be pointing to as well is Venus actually is the ruler of Taurus. This is, a court card for Taurus. So Venus will be coming into your sign, I'm thinking around, it might be the very end of the month, but it could be pointing to that as well. And then this could even be representing some luck coming through for you financially through friends, because Taurus is your 11th house, and now you actually have Uranus there. So now you could actually get some luck with friendships. So maybe they actually, maybe one of them tells you about another job that maybe this could even, for example, be you being reluctant to apply for a job, right? You might be like, oh, well, all I have is this going for me. These job requirements, I don't meet them, right? And maybe someone actually helps talk you into it. Maybe a friend, they're like, no, actually, I know someone who has similar experience and they also have that type of job, something along those lines. And then it actually gives you that boost that you need, that little bit of extra courage to actually go through and apply for that job. All right. In the near future position, we have the Two of Wands. So for me, this is actually a card that represents the first 10 degrees of Aries. There's nothing going on there right now, but what is happening at the time I'm recording this, actually, Mars is in those first 10 degrees of Cancer in your sign. So that could be what this is talking about. And maybe it's saying that, having Mars come into your sign is actually giving you that boost as well, that confidence, that energy to push through whatever you need to push through. And again, like I said, I see that lightening your load theme. So, we see the 10 of Wands in the past, the 9 of Wands, and now here we have the 2 of Wands. So maybe this is saying now, with all that out of the way, you could see your goals more clearly again, right? If we look at that, he has that globe in his hand. That could just be saying that, now you're actually able to see clearly again. All right, I know what I need to do. I know what I want to get accomplished, right? This could even just be talking about you wanting to take a vacation, right? Maybe, like I said, you've been working really hard at something. And, especially there's going to be a full moon this month in your sixth house as well. So, maybe you finally complete something on the work front this month. You get your financial, reward from it. And then you say, all right, now I'm trying to take a vacation, So that could be what's at play there. Um, and, this could even just be pointing to the fact that, I'm recording this right after we had that Scorpio full moon. So, Mars basically just arrived in your sign. So this could even just be saying that while Mars is moving through your 12th house, it's like you had, this need, this urge to take care of these things or even speak up about them, but it was just a little difficult to do with Mars in your 12th. That could really have you feeling low on energy a lot of times. So that could be what's at play there. In the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Death card. So this is actually the major arcana card for Scorpio. And as I just mentioned, I'm recording this right after we had that full moon in Scorpio. So this could just be pointing to that, saying that that's the energy that you were taking on because you guys are ruled by the moon. So naturally, new moons and full moons, you tend to feel more than the other signs. So maybe it's saying that when that full moon hit, which was in your fifth house, that had you taken on that scorpionic energy and ready to transform and say, okay, well, I'm leaving this behind, I'm moving on from this, putting some things to bed, right? Like I said, even if it was a conflict, let's say, with someone, maybe you're ending something, whether ending the actual conflict or deciding to end a friendship, right? Or whatever romantic relationship, if you feel that you weren't being treated fairly, maybe now this is just saying that you actually make that move to correct it, whether it be to squash it by talking it through with the person or just moving on from it altogether. In the position of the environment's influence on the situation, we see the Two of Pentacles and the Four of Swords. So this could just represent you actually really thinking over two options financially, because like I said, maybe this is actually a thing with two jobs on the table where you've had the one you've been at for a long time, but maybe you feel like, all right, I don't know if I could continue to do this, it's really wearing me down, right? And then maybe, like I said, a friend of yours might say to you, hey, there's this job opening here, and you might feel like, oh, well, what could I offer to that job, right? There's no way they'd even call me in for an interview, right? But they might talk you into it, and then you actually get that offer. Now, you might be like that Nine of Wands might have you a little, saying that you're a little hesitant, like to trust it. Like, okay, well, I got that job offer. Now what, right? That can be what's at play there. Just feeling like a deer in headlights a little bit. Like, oh, I wasn't expecting to get that. So now do I, get rid of, leave this job behind that I've been with for a long time and go with the new one, or what? And this could even represent for some of you as well. You might be doing your own thing to supplement your income, and maybe that's what's been burning you out. Maybe you've just been working really hard, and at your main job and the secondary, trying to get a secondary source of income going, and maybe now you finally do start to see that start to come in for you. But this could just be saying that either way, you might need to think that over if you want to continue to do that, or this could just even be saying that you need a rest because of that. Normally the environment can represent other people as well. I'm not as much seeing this as representing someone else. I see this more as your energy. and the environment, the energy that it's bringing toward you. But if it is someone else, this could be someone who's actually going through a little financial difficulty or just on the fence about what to do as far as finances go, but they are taking the time to think it over, and actually make sure they're making the right decision. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Four of Wands. Now, this is to me, this represents stability, success, expansion. So, this could just be saying that that's what you're hoping for, right? Especially if you feel like you've lightened your load. All right, you had the 10 of Wands down to the 9. Okay, now it's almost like a reset for you, right? Especially, like I said, if you did go to another job. Now it's like a reset, and you're like, all right, now I want to build up from scratch, basically. So that could be what's at play there. Now, when it's the hopes or fears, it doesn't necessarily mean that it would play out. It's just that what's on your mind. And, I do have to mention at the bottom of the deck here, we do have the Tower card. So not to freak you guys out, because all of the energy that I'm seeing here is more about maybe you actually bringing this Tower about in a certain way. To put it in a more positive sense. But I will say as well, keep in mind that eclipse season is going to start early on in July. So pretty much as soon as July starts. So if there is, like I said, going with that theme of some dead wood that you guys need to, make sure you get out of the way before that eclipse, this is a good time to do so, especially, like I said, with Mars in your sign. Mercury will be coming into your sign too to help you communicate if you do need some help getting some things cleared up. But yeah, that's what I see there. And then the good thing, beneath that too, I really see it as more like you're walking away from something, because beneath the Tower we have the Eight of Cups. So usually the Eight of Cups to me is that energy of walking away from something to seek something more fulfilling. So I think, that's not a coincidence that we have that there. And then beneath that, I'm not going to go through the bottom of the deck forever, but it's just called out to me because the Queen of Wands is beneath that. The Queen of Wands is technically a court card for Aries, but this could represent having Mars in your sign, putting you in more of that Aries mode of taking action, and actually, pushing things forward. And then we have the Star beneath that. So yeah, definitely a pretty good sign. I don't think this Tower is necessarily something to worry about. Um, what I will say is if you want, just maybe carry some black tourmaline with you for the month. I usually tell people that when I see the Tower. If you really are worried that it might be something more coming your way that you don't see coming, but I'm feeling more than anything, especially with the Death card and your influence on the situation. If anything, it's you that's causing this Tower moment, and knowingly doing so because you're like, I can't do it anymore. All right, in the outcome position, we have the King of Swords. So this is a court card for Aquarius. And there's nothing really going on in that sign right now, but what this can be representing, for one, like I said, if there was, given that the Page of Swords came up in the challenger obstacle position for you guys, and like I said, if this was really about you having to speak up about something, this could just say that that's the progress that you made. Especially, like I said, with Mercury coming into your sign and also meeting up with Mars. This could just be saying that that's the progress. You've made it from that Page of Swords to that King of Swords energy. Because like I said, having a North Node in your sign in particular is always a big signal for soul growth and just, maturation, no matter what your age. So, that could be what's at play there. Some other ways this could play out, this could also be pointing to Aquarius people in your life, maybe a friend, maybe that's the person who talked you into perhaps going with that job, because we see that 11th house influence again because, 11th house is your house of friendships. So like I said, you have Uranus in that sign right now. So that's technically Taurus, but because it's Uranus in that sign, that could also just be saying that there might be some new Aquarius people coming into your life during that transit. So, that could be what you're dealing with. And for some of you, if this was something that was even perhaps playing out in a legal purpose, this could also represent a lawyer as well. So, having them in the outcome, if this was something a little bit more simple than you just being able to speak up about something. If it was like some kind of workplace mistreatment of some kind that, extended beyond your ability to just talk to the boss, something like that. And you maybe went the legal route, that could just represent, them actually taking charge for you this month. All right, let's move on to the oracle cards. First oracle card we have is Mending. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 52. I think that's the last card in the deck too, but we'll see what the messages are for that. All right, it says forgiveness, making amends, healing after arguments. The oracle's message: each time we are hurt and allow the hurt to pass through us without understanding and integration, we accumulate an unwanted burden. This helps keep us chained to the very things we need to heal: the pain, the memories, the echoes of resentments, and the arguments that we rehearse over and over. Now is the time for mending rifts, healing wounds, and letting go of the old hurts in order to reclaim your power. Now is the time to forgive, to release, to make peace, and to make amends to others. Set yourself free. Well, I didn't get a huge vibe of something like that. I did mention the fact that, like I said, with the death card and some of these other cards we see here, it could even be about you speaking up about perhaps a falling out with someone, and like I said, whether it is to actually mend it as far as to repair the connection, or to just, speak out what you needed to say and realize that it's best for the two of you to go your separate ways. It seems like this is at least somewhat supporting that, to say that either way, regardless how it's going to pan out, it does look like you're being encouraged to speak up about that, if that's the situation. All right, the relationship message says you've come to a place where forgiveness is necessary if you're going to move forward. Separate or together, you and the other person are still experiencing the effects of a hurt that is impacting everything you do, even if you're not aware of it. The energy needs to clear. What must you do to bridge this gap? Closing your heart is not the answer. You have the power to heal this wound. Ask yourself, what would love do? Only good will come of forgiveness and an honest redress. So, for the most part, I wasn't getting a huge relationship vibe there, but, maybe that is what's at play for some of you at the very least, and, with the Four of Swords there, that could just represent someone healing. We know the card before that is the Three of Swords. So, maybe, again, if that was a rift on a relationship level, romantic relationship rather, maybe you guys are trying to move past that as well. All right, the prosperity message says everyone makes mistakes, especially when you want something very badly. You may come to realize that in chasing after a pretty, shiny thing, you lost sight of long-term, sustainable prosperity. Sometimes you make choices that look good at first, but ultimately lead to loss or failure. It's time to forgive yourself and others. Don't blame anyone else. You get to start again, wiser and more mature. The journey to abundance can be bumpy. Make amends to anyone you may have hurt along the way, especially yourself. Forgive those who may have taken advantage of you. Let go and learn from this. You are now that much closer to achieving the kind of prosperity that really fulfills you. Nothing is ever lost or wasted when you view it from this perspective. So that's interesting there, and I feel like that at least supports some of what we were talking about with the main spread, so hopefully you guys got something from that. All right, we'll move on to the next Oracle deck. So this is actually a card you guys got from the Spirit Animal Oracle deck, and this one is Badger Spirit. It says, be fearless and bold. There's the artwork for it, and the number is 4, if that has any significance for you. All right, it says, Badger Spirit rejoices at your persistence and commitment to what is true for you. Whatever you seek, your tenacity and faith in your partnership with Spirit is paying off, and the results will soon coalesce into form in your world. The gift of Badger Spirit is the surety that Taking a risk now and being courageous, fearless, and bold will yield wondrous results. This is a time to harness your will and apply it consistently to the pursuit of your dreams. Know that no matter the temporary outer conditions, you will manifest your desires in divine timing and in the form that Spirit deems best for you. Badger Spirit says you have what it takes to get what you want, so assert yourself. Be fearless and be bold, shining your light as your purpose calls you into the world. New relationships are also given a green light now. Don't be afraid to make the first move. Badger Spirit loves your brave and mighty heart. So that's a pretty good card there. And, like it mentioned, the persistence, the commitment. So, like I said, maybe for those of you, if you have been working really hard, maybe this is when you start to see the rewards from that, right? And just in general, like I said, it mentioned the persistence and everything. Like I said, the fact that you guys do have Mars in your sign, it's a transit that happens about once every 2 years. So this might be a good time to push forward in that regard, and especially, like I said, knowing that eclipse season kicks off right at the start of July. So this is definitely a good time to tie up any loose ends and get things right before that. And it should be a good eclipse season for you, by the way. Just to point that out, I don't want you guys to think you have something to freak out about. But yeah. So the last thing we have is a mudra card. So for those of you who haven't been watching my videos this year, I've been pulling mudra cards for each of the signs. And what they are is basically their hand gestures that you can hold while meditating. Usually for 5 minutes of a minimum, up to 45 to an hour for those of you who are more accustomed to meditating. But 5 minutes would be fine for a beginner. And they're meant to help clear blockages. So, sometimes they could be physical, sometimes even mental and emotional. But yeah, the one that we have here is maturity, which is interesting. The keyword for it anyway is maturity, which is interesting because, like I was saying, just your growth, regardless of your age, with the North Node being in your sign, it just represents soul growth. All right, and the name of this mudra is the Garuda Mudra. All right, and then here's the info on it. So, just hold this up, and, that way if you guys want to take a screenshot of it or, pause it so you can read what it has to say, you can do so. All right, and since it doesn't all fit in the frame, I'll move it up so you can see the rest of it as well. So yeah, under benefits it says improves intelligence, increases digestive fire, activates Manipura chakra, navel center, builds martial prowess, and according to legend serves as protection against snakes, snake bites, and venom in general. So, if you feel that this is something that would be helpful for you, I'll actually put the name of that mudra in the description as well, if you wanted to look into that a bit more. And also, before I forget too, another thing with the Aquarius energy there, if you guys are dealing with an Aquarius or have some Aquarius energy in your chart, like let's say you're Cancer Sun but Aquarius Moon or something like that, definitely check out their reading as well, because there were a few similar cards. Not like a huge repeating theme between the two readings, but a couple of similarities. So maybe you guys could get something extra from that too. All right, but we'll wrap up there, guys. Like I said, a happy early birthday to those of you who celebrate at the end of June, and I'll see you guys next month. Bye.